Hi, I'm Stephanie and this is Bob, and in this video we are going to show you the 3 things that every successful natural childbirth must have. So let me share a quick story that illustrates these 3 elements. Now I remember with our second, it was the smoothest birth you could ever imagine. So I was in labor for 12 hours from start to finish, and we literally got to the hospital during the 11th hour. So we checked into the hospital, I walked into the room, I jumped right onto the bed, got on my hands and knees, and was in the push phase. So we cut it really close, but it was an awesome experience. And I remember talking with our midwife after I had Maddox, and she was saying how great everything was. And I remember you made a comment like, yeah, yours was awesome, but I feel horrible for the lady next door. And I didn't know what you were talking about. I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, there was a lot of screaming and a lot of commotion next door. I didn't hear any of this because I was doing my thing, but I actually got a chance to talk to this lady the next day, and I remember we started talking about our birthing experiences, and she was telling me how she really wanted to have a natural birth, and she did all this preparation all these months ahead of time. So she joined Facebook groups on natural birth. She's telling me how she watched YouTube videos, she read a book, she spent countless hours on Google, she read tips of women who had been through it previously, and she even attended the free hospital class. And she did all this stuff, and she did all this preparation weeks and weeks ahead of time. And she even came up with this list of pain management techniques. So she was using techniques like deep breathing and acupressure. She had essential oils going. She was laboring in the tub, and she created this calm and soothing environment, the dim lighting and the calm music. But the problem was that none of these things helped her manage the pain. And as the contractions became more frequent and intense, she just couldn't take it anymore. So she ended up getting the epidural, and then after she got the epidural, unfortunately, her labor stalled. So then she needed Pitocin, and when she got to the push phase, labor stalled again, and her baby got stuck in the birth canal and the heart rate dropped. And they were actually getting ready to do an emergency C-section, but were able to get her baby out with a vacuum. And that was all the commotion that was going on next door to us. And so what started out as this natural event turned into a very traumatic birth, unfortunately. So when I told her my story, she was taken back with my approach because it looked similar to hers, because I used many of the same pain management techniques that she used for my own delivery. And I remember she said, wow, you just must have a really high pain tolerance, because I was so exhausted and I just couldn't take the pain anymore. And I remember thinking, if anyone knows me, like, no, that's not true at all. So as I said earlier, there are 3 aspects to natural birth, and she did an awesome job at having strategies to help with the pain, which is the first strategy and an absolute must-have in order to have a natural birth. But unfortunately, that was just one of the 3 things needed, and so she was missing the other 2. And most women that struggle with natural birth share a similar story to hers, and normally they're lacking 1 or 2 of the 3 elements. So let us show you what a successful natural birth does look like, including the other 2 elements that she missed. So every woman that's able to have a successful natural birth has prepared herself to get into what we refer to as being in the zone.
Yeah, so for example, let's say that a woman is in what we call late first stage labor. So this is when the contractions are coming on and they're more intense, they're more frequent. And so this is a point where a woman's going to try one technique. And let's say, for example, with this story, let's say that she tries one technique and it doesn't work. So she tries another and it doesn't work. And she tries another and it doesn't work. And none of these things are really helping with her pain. But all the while, she's learned how to focus her mind on labor until she finds the one that actually does help and does provide pain relief. So what this woman looks like that's in this situation, she understands what her body is doing. So she's in what we call her zone. And this is what it looks like, I guess I would say, from an outside person's perspective of a woman that's in her zone. So this is element number 2. So what it looks like is, she's not talking, she's not laughing, she's serious. And so she's in this zone, and even though the pain is becoming more intense and things are getting serious, she's not panicking, she's just totally in control. So it's her, it's not the doctors, nurses that are not controlling it, she is. So she's dialed in, so she's controlling her thoughts. And when a negative thought starts to creep into her mind, like, what if I need a C-section, or, what if an obstacle comes up, what if something happens to my baby, she quickly dismisses it with what we call a self-affirming affirmation. All right, so being in this zone, what I compare it to would be, I watch a lot of sports, and I compare this to somebody like Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Michael Phelps, Tom Brady. I mean, somebody that does really, really well in these high pressure situations where they're just dialed in, they're completely focused. You can tell that they've really prepared beforehand and they get into this zone. And like I said, getting into this zone is element number 2, or similarity number 2, that every successful natural childbirth has to have. All right, so if that's element number 2, when we look at element number 3, it has to do with overcoming obstacles. So in this case, if we go back to this woman and we're picturing her again, when she's in her zone and she's doing her thing, when obstacles come up, and most likely they're going to, she doesn't panic, she's in control, and she knows how to handle them. So for example, if her labor stalls, she's gonna have a handful of things that she can do first off to get it going again. Or if the baby gets stuck in the birth canal, or if the baby's heart rate drops, she's going to have answers for that too. And she knows that this is potentially could become a big emergency, but all the while she remains calm before she just goes straight into the vacuum, or vacuum extraction or the C-section. So she's going to try a handful of things to get the heart rate back up again. But what I'm trying to say is that these obstacles are there, they're going to come up. But a successful natural childbirth, the women are going to know what these are, they're going to have answers for them, they're not going to panic, and they're going to stay in control. And all the while, knowing what constitutes a true emergency that'll keep her and her baby safe. Okay, so let me do a quick recap here. So element number 1 has to do with pain management options and strategies, and you have to have a list of things that you want to try. And then element number 2 is learning how to prepare your mind to stay completely in control and focused and in your zone. And then element number 3 is knowing how to prepare for obstacles and how to know what constitutes a true emergency so that you can keep you and your baby safe throughout labor. And these are the 3 elements that every successful natural childbirth has to have. So the next logical question would be, what is the easiest route to becoming an expert in all 3 of these? So there are 2 ways that you can go about this. Now, number 1 would be you take every class, you read every book, you talk to lots of women who have done this before, you watch YouTube videos, and basically you come up with your own plan. Or you can follow someone who has done all of this already, and that's us.
So with every class we took, every person we spoke to, every video we watched, I would say not any individual piece of content was a game changer, but putting everything together was. And that's why we developed our online program, The Mason Method for Natural Childbirth. And it's because we've seen too many women miss out on what should be one of the single greatest experiences of their lives. So while our process is simple and easy to follow, it's extremely effective because it prepares women for the only 3 things that matter. This also separates us from other natural birth classes who only focus on 1 or 2 of these elements. And the vast majority of women that complete our course have an easy, non-traumatic natural birth without any medical interventions. Because most women do so well, we actually provide a 100% money-back guarantee for our entire course.
And because of the process that we teach, our course can be applied to women that want to have a home birth or a hospital birth, or women that want to birth in a birth center.
But we'd just like to say congratulations on being pregnant, and whatever route you choose, we wish you nothing but the best of luck for a healthy, positive pregnancy and labor.